Hello chess friends and welcome to the channel. I'm back with the first game of the Chess24 Banter Blitz Final between Magnus Carlsen and Alireza Firouzja. It was a real fight, guys, with many interesting games. We will begin with game 1. Let's remember that they are all 3 minutes blitz games without increment, so there is to play fast, and that's why I won't overanalyze the moves. Carlsen with the white pieces, Firouzja with black. Let's get started. Magnus Carlsen opens with d4, Firouzja answers with knight to f6, knight to f3 and now d5, c4, e6, knight to c3, with bishop to b4 we are in the Ragozin variation of the Queen's Gambit decline. C captures on d5, the pawn recaptures, bishop to g5 pinning the knight, short castle is one of the main continuations, e3 the logical move. Now h6 attacking the bishop and bishop back to h4, bishop to f5, queen to b3 is attacking this bishop. There are many good moves for black, but the main continuation is what Firouzja plays. Bishop capture on c3 with check, so with tempo. Now or b capture or queen capture more or less is the same. Queen captures on c3 and now g5. Bishop back to g3, also targeting c7, knight to e4 with tempo against the queen is the most played move. It's possible, it's playable to capture on c7 with the queen. Let's watch what happens. If queen captures on c7, that is a move that was already played, but this line doesn't give anything much to white. Now black can continue also with knight to d7, queen captures, rook captures. Problem is that white is still a bit undeveloped. Bishop to e2, now black will conquer the c5, there is also the chance to play rook to c2. This knight will take back the bishop pair with more or less equality. So that's why after knight to e4 attacking the queen, Carlsen continues with queen to a3. This is a move that was already played in, I think, in 2 games in recent years by Tabata Bey and also by another one of the top grandmasters. Anyway, this is a good move. Here comes knight to c6, that is a novelty and also a good move. Bishop to b5, threatening to destroy the pawn structure, knight back to e7, and now knight to d2. c6 first, bishop to d3, and now knight captures on d2 is much better than winning. Well, not winning because black doesn't have the bishop pair anymore, but this capture is much better than to capture on g3, opening with the queen still on the board, this h5. Now, of course, the king must recapture. Bishop captures on d3, really now removes the bishop pair. Queen captures on d3, and now Firouzja continues with queen to a5 with check. King to e2, here comes f5, also closing this important diagonal. Now bishop to d6, and now rook in a goes to e8. This rook is protecting the knight, the other rook protecting g5. Here comes g4, let's go back one move. h4 in this position was better, but Carlsen thought that black advancing g4 was perfectly fine. Now h5, and Carlsen was right, because really black in this position is fine. Problem is that going back to our game, after g4, black is more than fine, becomes better. Now rook to f6, attacking the bishop, bishop to e5, and now knight to g6, tactically defends the rook. Why? This is a move that Carlsen didn't imagine, of course, in the heat of the fight. Now, of course, if bishop captures on f6, the game is lost, because this bishop opens the file for the rook, the pawn is pinned, and this knight check, that is also a fork, wins the queen. So after knight to g6, here comes h4, knight captures on e5 played by Firouzja wins an important pawn, but this is a missed opportunity. Let's go back one move. Now in this position, instead of capturing, the strongest move is f captures on g4. That is very strong because this pawn will be a constant threat for white. Now if h captures on g5, that is one of the best moves. rook captures on e5, this exchange sacrifice with both rooks and prince opens the position for a winning simplification. Let's watch what happens. Now d captures on e5, knight captures on e5, attacking the queen, queen back to c2, and now queen to a6 we check. White only has two good king moves, king to d1 and king to e1. After king to d1 there is rook to f3, of course, because the rook was under attack. Then there is this knight attack against f2, and there is also the chance to play rook to h3, and black is winning. After queen to a6 we check. If king to e1 there is g3. Now f4 is one of the best moves. Knight to f3 we check. King to d1, and now g2 is threatening to promote and also to capture the rook. So white is forced to capture with the queen. But now here comes queen to d3 we check. King to c1 is the best move. Queen capture on e3 we check. It's already -4. After king to b1, queen to e4 we check. Queen to c2, knight to d2 we check. The rook is lost. King to c1, queen capture on h1 we check. The king capture the knight. Possible to capture this rook, but the queen then becomes misplaced. Much better to simplify. Queen to g2 we check. King to c3. Queen to f3 we check. Queen to d3. Now the rook moves away, capturing on f4, and black is 2 pawns up. Let's go back to our game. After h4, Firouzja with this good tactical maneuver capture on e5. The d pawn recaptured, wins the pawn. H captures on g5, and now the h pawn recaptures on g5. Rook to h5 attacking the pawn, also with the threat of giving check, but Firouzja counterattacks here on the queen side. Rook capture on g5 we check, and now king to f7. b3 is preventing, of course, this capture that wins the game. But now here comes queen to f4, of course the pawn is pinned, and queen capture on f5. Let's go back one move. In this position, the only move that saves Carlsen is to play queen to c3 and keep playing. Instead, here comes queen captures on f5. This is a tactical mistake because Firouzja is not forced to capture the queen that is protected twice. In fact, Firouzja captures on g5. This move wins the rook. The rook recaptures on g5, and now rook to g1. The players, they keep playing only because this is a 3 minutes blitz games. We are already at move 30. Rook to g8, and now f4. Rook to e6, attacking the pawn that is the backward pawn. King to d3, and now the second rook moves to e8. Rook to g3 is protecting the pawn. Now rook to e4, fixing the weakness. And now rook to h3. Of course, the idea is to invade. So king to g7, controlling h7. And now g5. d4 is good because this is the third attacker against the pawn. So Carlsen is forced to capture. He captures on d4, and then the pawn structure is also destroyed. King to c3, rook to d8, rook to e3, and now rook to d7, protecting the 7th rank. There is no time to rush. Well, there is time, so better not to rush. Rook to d3, rook to g4 behind the pawn, king to c4, and also the g5 pawn is lost. Carlsen keeps playing. In the meanwhile, he's thinking out loud, and the only hope is to trick black into a stalemate position. King to c3, and now rook to d5. Rook to g3 we check. The king slowly moves to the queen side. Rook to g4, and now king to e7. Rook to e4 we check. King to d8, and now rook to h4. King to c7, perfect position, and here comes a4. b6, king to c4, king to b7, and now king back to c3. a5, rook to e4, b5, a captures, c captures, and here there is a new majority. King to d3, rook to d6, king to c3, and now king to b6. King to d3, a4, if white doesn't capture, the pawn will keep advancing. B captures, and now king to c4. Here comes a3, king to b3, rook captures on d4, wins this pawn, the rook moves away, or of course changing the rooks becomes a simple checkmate. So rook to d3, attacking the king and also protecting the pawn, king to a2, and now king to b5. Rook to b1 we check, king to a4, rook to c1, and now rook to d2 we check, king to a1, king to b3, rook to b1 we check, move 62, and now rook to b2. Rook to c1, we said Carlsen only hope was always to trick Firouzja into a stalemate, but Firouzja is paying attention to that. Here comes rook to a2 we check, and king to b1. Rook to d2, king back to a1, rook to d1, and now rook to b1 we check, but Firouzja can capture. Rook captures we check, the king recaptures, and rook to d1 is not stalemate but checkmate. So this was game 1. Firouzja begins the match, begins the final, winning with the black pieces against Carlsen. And tomorrow morning we will watch another important game. For now, thank you very much for watching. Don't forget to subscribe to the channel and see you tomorrow. Goodbye.